Michael would later say more than once that he didn't feel like he had a childhood at all.
And you very often hear people say the reason why he is the way that he is because of that.
His father didn't just run rehearsals, he enforced them every day after school over and over again until it was perfect. And the thing is, when things didn't go well, there would be these punishments. It would be with belts, cords, whatever he could reach for.
Wow.
The album, Off the Wall, changes Michael from being this childhood star to this fully fledged superstar, and by almost any measurable standard, he is the most famous human being alive. Sometimes he would share the bed with the boys, as if they were kids at a sleepover.
Adam, we can try and rationalize it all you want, but the fact that you have someone who's not your parent sleeping in your bed, an adult man who has the sense of belief that he can have anything and do anything that he wants, that's not normal.
It would be staged as this big comeback that the world was desperate to see. But behind rehearsals, behind all that music, there's a body that's breaking down, a man who isn't sleeping, and one that probably shouldn't have been on stage at all. That really put me off.
For our listeners who didn't see that, basically I do that kind of studio thing where people press the button and they point really like slowly and fluidly.
Yeah, like over to you.
Over to you. Take it away. We're live.
Okay, right. Welcome to The Compendium, an assembly of fascinating things, a weekly variety podcast that gives you just enough information to stand your ground at any social gathering.
We explore stories from the darker corners of true crime, the hidden gems of history, and of course, the jaw-dropping deeds of mediocre people.
Above average.
Yeah, if that.
I'm Adam Cox, your ringmaster for this episode.
And I'm Kyle Risi, the compliance marshal for emotional overexposure.
Emotional overexposure.
Oh, it's such a problem, Adam.
Too much, like, dramatics.
Well, my job is to ensure that none of our freaks become too sincere or too well-adjusted. Basically, if a conversation shows any signs of genuine vulnerability or unchecked self-awareness or even early stages of personal growth, I'm required to step in immediately. I've got my clipboard, I've got a lanyard. If anyone says, you know, I think this has really affected me, I basically just blow a whistle right in their face. Shut that shit down. And the whistle is basically my team's signal to erect like a privacy screen around the freak. So the emotion could be contained at a public view, right? And if it does go any further, I bring a laminated chart and I ask him to point to where the feeling first became administratively inappropriate.
So guys, if you are new to the show and you want to support us, then the absolute best way to do that is to go and join us on Patreon. You get exclusive perks, and signing up free will get you access to next week's episode 7 days early.
Yes, but obviously, for as little as $5 a month, you can become a fellow freak of the show, which will unlock our entire back catalogue, including all of our classic episodes.
But let's be honest, the real reason to sign up as a certified freak or a big top tier member is to get access to our exclusive Compendium keychain, otherwise known as
the crotch dangler. And it's so that we can always be there dangling near your crotch. And remember, if you ever meet up with another freak in the wild who also has their crotch dangler, remember, they're jangly pendulums that when they come together, there's a magical force that emits from them and just something magical happens. So if you find one, jingle your crotch danglers near each other.
It's actually just a magnet. And lastly, guys, please follow us on your favorite podcast app and leave us a review. Your support helps others find us and keeps these amazing stories coming.
I think that was my line, Adam.
It is, but you know.
Okay, so the next line is, so Kyle, that's enough of the housekeeping. But I guess only you can really say that.
Hey, Kyle, that's enough of the housekeeping. Because today, on The Compendium, we're diving into an assembly of family pressure, sheer brilliance, and a monumental rise to stardom.
Oh, we're talking about a star. Is this an incredible person episode?
It is an extraordinary person.
An extraordinary, not a mediocre person.
No.
So I have no idea what that means. Family pressure. Kardashians.
Okay.
Are
Interesting.
we talking about Kim Kardashian?
No, I'm just going to jump straight to it.
Go on then.
I'll put you out your misery. You're never going to get it.
No.
We're going to do actually a 2-part epic
What?
because there's just so much to cover.
I didn't give you license to do that.
Yeah, here I am doing it. We're going to be telling the story of Michael Jackson.
Shut up.
Yeah,
That's a big one.
it is. Hence why it's 2 episodes.
What side of the fence are you on? Did he do it? Did he not do it?
I know.
Did he kind of do it?
Well, he's one of the best-selling music artists of all time with estimated sales of over 500 million records.
Wow.
He's had 13 Billboard Hot 100 #1 singles and is the only artist to have ever had top 10 singles in 6 decades. And he's one of the most awarded music artists in history.
He was a child star, right? So that makes sense, the 6 decades. So he was like 60 when he died then.
He's in his 50s.
Yeah, but a lot of these stars, their legacy continues after. So I guess they could he could technically be a star that spans 10 decades
Yeah,
if time goes on.
that's very much true. But of course, as you alluded to, he has divided people's opinions. He is this mix of incredible talent, but then there are these deeply polarizing allegations where fans, media, and even radio stations are split on whether to celebrate Michael Jackson or distance themselves from him, given the allegations in later life.
Yeah, and it's really tricky because he is such a massive star, right? Some people are very willing to overlook some of his past transgressions if they're true or not. We don't know. It's really difficult to know. But when you think of like lesser stars who just get cancelled for almost nothing, but Michael Jackson seems to be the one that's like, he's done some potentially horrific things. And yet people like always have that same argument. You got to like separate the man from the art. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he seems to have a hall pass with that. So I don't know how I feel. Feels like a little bit of a contradiction.
But also, I think there's a lot of myths and speculation and people manipulating the truth, which kind of clouds what's real and what's not, like this fake news. And I didn't realize that until I started researching. I think there's perhaps these assumptions that people make. And maybe that's why, not that he gets a hall pass, but there's still like this air of doubt where people are like, I just don't know how to feel because I don't know
have
what's
enough
true.
information. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what you'll always get with someone who's such a massive star.
Anyway, the point is, we're not here to absolve him from any wrongdoing, if indeed he was a paedophile. But I think the thing is, what we're trying to say is that it's more complicated than that. And we will get to that in part 2, I promise. But for the first part, we're going back to his roots.
Oh, Jackson 5.
Back to his family home and a father who saw potential and pushed it hard. Because what comes out of the Jackson household isn't normal talent. It's a child who can perform like an adult and captivate a room before he's even a teenager. And then it accelerates. There's Motown, there's #1 records, there's this global fame. And until by the 1980s, he's not just a star, he's the most famous person on earth. But underneath it all, there's something else forming, a childhood that never really happened and a pressure that doesn't go away. So this episode is about how that happens and how the same story that builds the biggest star in the world might also be the one that begins to break him.
Wow. Powerful, Adam. Yeah, I can imagine that pressure must have been crazy.
Yeah. Now, a slight public announcement or disclaimer, Michael Jackson's life and legacy is so huge there is a good chance we won't cover every single thing and controversy that happened in his life.
So that's a nice way of saying, listen, bitch, don't write in. We get it. It's a 2-parter.
We'll try and cover the main bits that we think you need to know to stand your ground at a social gathering, not give a TED talk at the local university.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, our episode today on Michael Jackson doesn't actually start with Michael Jackson. It actually starts in Gary, Indiana, a city built with a single purpose, steal.
Oh, okay. Still. But also, who the fuck calls their town Gary?
I know that was one of the first things I thought about. I was like, no offense to Garys out there,
Yeah.
but that is not what you name a town.
Yeah. Is Gary the founder of the town?
Yeah, basically his last name is Gary. I can't remember his first name. And it was founded in 1906 by the United States Steel Corporation and named after its chairman. But yeah, it's an odd name for a town, but that's the town that the Jacksons grew up in. At their peak, Gary was home to one of the largest steel producing operations in the world. And by the 1960s, nearly 180,000 people lived there. And like many industrial cities at the time, it was deeply segregated, neighborhoods divided over race. This was also a place shaped by movement, families arriving from the South during the Great Migration, chasing stability, chasing opportunity, chasing something better than what they had left behind. And among them was a man named Joseph Walter Jackson. Now, he was born in Arkansas in 1928. And at 18, Joe moved to Indiana. And like many men in Gary, he found work in the mills. And the hours were long, the labor was, it was tough. He worked as an overhead crane operator, but it was the kind of work that paid the bills, but didn't really offer much beyond that. There's this kind of repetition of just shift work, getting your paycheck. And Joe started to want something else, something bigger, and that was music.
So he has arrived, he's doing well, he's working in an industrial town, but he's like, there must be more.
Yeah, exactly. And the person that's going to share this journey with him is a lady called Catherine Scouse.
What a name, Scouse.
Yeah, she was born in Alabama in 1930. And at just 2 years old, she contracted polio, an illness that would leave her with a permanent limp for the rest of her life. But it didn't take away from her love of music. She played instruments, she sang, she carried gospel with her, like this music that isn't just heard, it's felt. And perhaps this would influence the Jacksons in their early career. And when she was still a child, the family moved to Indiana, and that same search for something more. And this is when she meets Joe in 1947. So they get it together, they get married in 1949, and not long after, they buy a small house on Jackson Street in Gary.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Jackson Street?
I know, kind of uncanny, right? That they would
Yeah,
do that.
like it's nominal determinism. Is that right? Did I say it right?
I don't know.
It's where like your name is Joe Banker and then you end up becoming a banker. You move on Jackson Street and you end up becoming
A Jackson. Well, you're already a
to be
Jackson.
fair, they were a Jackson already.
Yeah, but I just thought that was really strange. The Jacksons grew up on Jackson Street.
Yeah, that is pretty funny.
So the place isn't much, but it is theirs. And it's inside that house that the Jackson 5 would be created.
So this is where it all happened.
All happened, but the house isn't big. It's very modest. In fact, it's just 672 square feet.
What? Don't they have 1 million kids?
Yeah, this is the thing. It has one bathroom and just 2 bedrooms, which was about to house a whole lot of Jacksons.
Yeah, God, a lot of sharing.
So over the next 16 years, Joe and Catherine would go on to have 10 children. One of the sons, it's a twin in fact, sadly dies shortly after birth. But that still means 11 people living in this house.
That is wild. Where are they all sleeping?
Well, there's bunk beds. There's very little privacy. There's a constant hubbub of family activity.
But yeah.
You're like living in everyone's pockets. You don't get any privacy whatsoever.
You just want silence.
So their mother, Catherine Jackson, she's deeply religious. She's a devoted Jehovah's Witness.
Really? There are Jehovah's Witnesses. God.
Which meant their world was shaped by her belief, this apocalyptic imagery, discipline, routine, and a childhood framed through this kind of end of days thinking. And even the small details felt different, an obsession with cleanliness to the point of a ritual. She was rubbing alcohol on their skin. She'd put Vaseline on their faces to look presentable. And she would give them hot potatoes and put them in their pockets when she sent them to school to keep the cold out.
Oh, okay. No, that's clever because the potato keeps hold of the warmth. That's very smart. My mum would do the same as well. She'd also do that with boiled eggs. So just before she left the house, she would hold her lunch in her hands and put them in her pocket while she was walking to the bus stop.
Oh, really?
Holding a couple of boiled eggs, and they would keep some warmth on her until she got to the bus stop.
And then what? She'd crack them open and then...
Probably not on, can you imagine, on the bus. So they sound like they're resourceful.
Yeah, that's right. Joe, however, had left his hopes of becoming a professional boxer in order to support his family as a full-time crane operator. So in the early 1950s, Joe tried to build something of his own. He and his brother Luther formed a blues band, the Falcons. They played small venues across Chicago, Gary, Hammond. Joe played the guitar and Luther played the saxophone. And they were pretty good, but not good enough to make it further than what they were already doing, like these small gigs. So after a few years, the band had faded out. But Joe didn't really want to give up on what it represented. He still had this ambition, which didn't disappear.
So was it just like they were just getting older, the brother was maybe getting married or settling down, they had other commitments, kids and things like that? Is that the kind of thing that would have made it fizzle out?
Possibly. And also maybe it wasn't going further than what it was already doing. And I think Joe wanted more. And so I think at the end of the day, they just decided to call it a day. But one of Joe's sons was left alone one time whilst Joe was working these long shifts as a crane operator. And he started to pick up one of Joe's old instruments, playing, experimenting, making noise essentially. But the children, they were not supposed to touch their dad's instruments.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but Tito couldn't stay away, and he taught himself by ear, picking out melodies from the radio, from Motown, blues, anything he could recognize, and he would repeat them until they sounded right, and he was getting quite good at it.
You're saying he's basically got a perfect pitch. So they're quite talented then, if that is the case. They're not just like, oh, practice, practice, practice. They have some raw, I don't know, genetic talent.
I guess so. Something that he could just, recognize notes and be able to know which ones to play. He wasn't taught himself.
Yeah, that just winds me up so much. You have artists like Charlie Puth, for example, who's got this perfect pitch. And hearing like the organ at church every week on this recording, one day he would just be able to go up to the organ and just play when the organist wasn't around. And like, it's because he's got perfect pitch. It's just bizarre.
Yeah, so Tito would do all this sort of practicing. And he was pretty good, like I say, but then one day something went wrong. A string had snapped on the guitar.
Oh, no.
And in that house, that kind of mistake didn't usually end well. Discipline was immediate, often physical.
For a broken string.
Well, Joe was this quite cold father. He wouldn't be the one to say, I love you. And so he would be quite physically violent with his kids.
That's awful. But then it's not a surprise to me. Obviously, this is quite the known thing about Joe, isn't it? But also Tito, he is, I'm assuming, the oldest kid.
He's one of the oldest, yeah.
Sure.
So Joe had actually, I think either by accident, heard him play one day. And instead of getting angry, he actually recognized some really good talent in Tito. So instead of punishment, Joe buys him a guitar for himself.
Wow, what a stroke of luck.
And that was then the start of something because Joe decided to build his new group. And at first, it's his older sons, Tito on guitar, Jackie and Jermaine on vocals, and they're joined by a couple of neighborhood friends to fill out the band. And they rehearse in the living room, that 672 square foot house, thin walls, no space, no escape from the noise. The whole family and neighbors are probably forced to listen to their rehearsals.
Yeah, and you have to really love music for this to not be the thing that makes you want to kill yourself.
Yeah. And Joe is a hard man to please because mistakes aren't ignored, they're corrected over and over again until they disappear. And by 1965, the lineup shifts. Out are the neighborhood friends, and in are the younger brothers, Marlon and then Michael at just 5 years old.
Wow, okay, so this is the early Jackson 5.
Yeah, and that's how they get their name, Five Jacksons, the Jackson 5. And at first, Michael isn't actually the lead. He sings backup, he dances, but even then, something stands out. The way he moves, the way he watches, absorbing everything. He used to study performers on television like James Brown, Jackie Wilson, the choreography of The Temptations, and he was breaking it down, rebuilding it himself, and then performing it with this kind of level of instinct that doesn't feel learned. It feels natural. It's in him.
Yeah, it's quite a cute image, actually. I can actually imagine him just sitting there, dancing a little way, doing his little Carlton dance.
Yeah, that's exactly how I see it. But then it gets better. And by 1966, the Jackson 5 start entering competitions, talent shows, local contests, and they don't just compete, they actually win again and again. At one early contest, they placed second, and the prize was a color television, which might seem small, but inside that house, that meant something. It was proof that this could lead to something.
What does that mean?
Well, they're getting rewards and they're winning stuff.
Oh, I'm with you.
Like, there's something in this. The
Sure,
Jacksons.
okay. I just didn't know where that was going, Adam.
They got a TV out of
It
it.
meant something. Yeah. So they're like, wow, okay. So if we've just done this competition and we got a color TV, what else could we get?
Yeah, like a radio.
Yeah.
Some new shoes.
Yeah. We could get mum that prosthetic shoe she's always wanted.
Okay. Because of her limp.
For Olympia.
Well, so Joe starts driving them further afield to other states, packing the family into a van that can barely hold them all, chasing the next stage, the next audience, and the next opportunity.
Why are you making it sound like Scooby-Doo?
It does feel like that, yeah. And so the venues keep changing from school halls to then clubs and bars.
And Michael Jackson's like 6.
Yeah, exactly, which is obviously not great news for him or even Marlon, the two youngest children that are being exposed to adults getting drunk. There's like striptease acts.
Nice.
And so they're standing in the... Nice.
Sorry.
And so they're standing in the wings, like watching this kind of adult entertainment before they go on stage. And it's pretty normal for other performers back then, but not as a child.
No.
A child should be hanging out playing with kids at that point.
Yeah, but to be fair, it doesn't sound like they are hating being in this band. I don't know. I don't know what the psychology is. You've painted it very beautifully, like a family doing Scooby-Doo, going around like doing cool stuff. I imagine that they don't hate it.
I'm sure there's a lot of good, right? Like it's fun, it's exciting, but then that does something to a child because the line between being a kid and being a performer kind of disappears. There's no separation or kind of off switch. They're just constantly rehearsing, you're on stage. And Michael would later say more than once that he didn't feel like he had a childhood at all.
Oh.
Just work and this expectation of him. And then there's the home life, right? Because behind all that success, there's been a lot of discipline, and it wasn't gentle. Their father, Joe Jackson, didn't just run rehearsals, he enforced them, and hours every day after school, over and over again until it was perfect.
Yeah, and you very often you hear people say the reason why he is the way that he is because he didn't have a childhood.
Exactly.
And as a man, he is almost acting out
A
that
lost childhood.
Yeah, like they call him Peter Pan, don't they?
Yeah.
But then at the same time, yes, I get everyone is different and trauma manifests itself differently in everyone. But you also have to remember, he also has all those siblings as well, like 9 of them. And a lot of them, yeah, some of them have trouble in their own lives, but some of them seem to be well adjusted.
I think Marlon, out of all of them, from what I read, was one of the most well adjusted, considering he's one of the youngest as well. But then I think he isn't exposed or... Because Michael then goes on to be the frontman of the band, Marlon still gets time to have a bit of downtime, be a kid, whereas Michael's always like the focus. So there's a thought that maybe he had it a little bit easier than Michael. And the thing is, when things didn't go well, there would be these punishments. It would be with belts, cords, whatever Joe could reach for. Ooh. Jackie, Tito, and Jermaine, and even Marlon denied that their father was abusive and said that the whippings kept them disciplined and out of trouble, which I would still say is abusive.
Yeah, they're not saying that it didn't happen. They see it differently, right? And that's very key because you can be in a really abusive household and years later when you and your family members, they get together and they go, oh, do you remember how awful that was? And then they can see things completely differently to how you see it.
Yeah. And the thing is, it isn't just physical, it's psychological too. Michael would later talk about the way his father spoke to him, mocking him, criticizing his appearance, breaking down confidence instead of building it, to the point where he didn't associate his father with any warmth. He associated him with fear. He said he would feel sick before rehearsals and that just his presence in the room with him would change everything.
Yeah, and again, I want to go back to that as well. It's about how you as a human being and how you unload information and how you can definitely internalize that differently to the people around you depending on your personality. And yeah, that definitely does seem to be a thing because I don't think that Michael Jackson was necessarily the only person in their household bearing the brunt of what Joe was doing.
Of course.
He just internalized it differently. And you hear that a lot especially with his appearance, how his father, from memory, how he would mock him about his big nose, his acne. And yeah, he really does internalize that. And you can see why that would be detrimental because he is also the frontman of the band.
Yeah.
And to be criticized that harshly on your appearance as a frontman when you have that responsibility, I can imagine how that would be bad for you.
Yeah.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Did you know Fast Growing Trees is America's largest and most trusted online nursery with thousands of trees and plants and over 2 million happy customers? Whether you're planting fruit trees, adding privacy, brightening things up with flowers, or bringing in houseplants, Fast Growing Trees has it all. Even better, they can help you find options that are right for your climate, your space, and lifestyle. Click Order Grow. Every plant arrives healthy with the Alive and Thrive guarantee straight to your door. So if you're ready to get planting, this is the moment. Right now, they have great deals on spring planting essentials, up to half off on select plants. And listeners to our show get 20% off their first purchase when using the code WWO at checkout. That's an additional 20% off. Better plants and better growing at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code WWO at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code WWO. Now's the perfect time to plant. Let's grow together. Use WWO to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. Go to growingfasttrees.com for details.
Deadlines move, plans change, and sometimes opportunities pop up out of nowhere. When you need branded gear fast, 4imprint is ready to deliver. 4imprint offers hundreds of promotional products in their 24-hour category. Everything from custom apparel, bags, and drinkware to writing tools, trade show staples, and high-tech gear. At 4imprint, it's not just about speed. It's about doing it right. Your logo is printed with precision, your order is packed with care, and it all ships out fast. And with their 360-degree guarantee, you can be confident it'll show up right on time, just the way you planned it. That's the certainty of 4imprint. So if you're prepping for a last-minute event or jumping on a big opportunity, you don't have to settle or scramble. With 4imprint, you get fast, reliable service and peace of mind built right in. Check out their full 24-hour selection at 4imprint.com.
4imprint, for certain.
There's also this rumor or allegations that Joe may have sexually abused some of his children and that the mother allowed it. Now, this is from LaToya Jackson herself, but her parents, Joe and Catherine, they both deny this.
Well, of course they would do.
Yeah, but she also reveals something quite damning about Michael later in life, which we'll come back to. But it's interesting that I think she is one of the few Jacksons that kind of speaks out quite negatively about her parents and Michael, but there are some reasons why she might have done that. So regardless, I don't think it was easy growing up as a Jackson.
No.
By mid-1967, a shift had taken place within the group that everyone could hear. Michael's voice, still a child's voice, had developed a quality that Jermaine simply didn't possess. And it wasn't just a range or pitch, it was this kind of emotion, an almost unsettling ability to inhabit a lyric's feeling and project it out with this kind of adult conviction.
So basically, Jermaine is out, Michael's in.
Yeah. Joe makes that decision, and yeah, I don't know how that went down, but then, I don't know, you're still in the band, you're just standing at the back rather than the front.
Yeah, and also, do you really want to go against Joe?
Probably you wouldn't, would you?
No, you'd be just like, okay.
Yeah. Eventually, the family are doing gigs in New York, and one of which was at the Apollo Theatre. Now, this wasn't just another venue, it was a proving ground. It's where Ella Fitzgerald, James Brown, and Stevie Wonder had been discovered, and it's where audiences would be unforgiving for anyone that didn't meet their expectations.
Oh, okay, so the pressure is well and truly on.
Oh, yes. So if you could hold that stage, you could go somewhere. And that night, the audience gave them a standing ovation.
Really? What did they sing?
Some of their songs. Well, actually, it would have been any songs that probably covers and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
And that basically just fueled Joe's ambition for the band to go even further.
Yeah, it's that moment where you go, there's something here.
So next up is an audition with Motown, and it went very well. So well that they secure a proper record deal in 1969, and that was huge. Motown was this pioneering record label and was owned by this African-American who was achieving success with not just black community, but the white audiences at the same time.
Wow.
And so its artists would go on to develop what is known as the Motown sound.
Wow. Yeah. That's so weird that you say that because honestly, I thought Motown was a vibe.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
I didn't think it was a thing.
Yeah.
So it was a record company. Yeah, because when people go, listen to that Motown. You know what I mean?
But the artists at that time was kind of, they ended up developing that sound.
Sure.
But it wasn't originally, which was interesting. I didn't know that either. There's actually a question of who discovered the Jackson 5. And like most myths, it obscures a messier truth. The official story is one the marketing team wanted people to believe. And it's the one that's printed on their debut album cover, which is that Diana Ross discovered the Jackson 5.
Shut up.
Hence why the album's called Diana Ross Presents the Jackson 5.
Okay, well, I mean, that's pretty concrete if you've got it on the album cover.
Yeah.
But could it just be like they wanted to associate a name to the Jackson 5? Because it's like, it's Diana Ross approved. in a way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's using the biggest female star in black music presenting the next generation. And so that was a marketing masterstroke at the time.
Yeah, sure. That's cute. Diana Ross. Whatever happened to her?
She's still going.
Is she?
I think so.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know much about music.
She's still like bouncing up and down with her hair like flopping side to side.
She does that?
Yeah, like a whole kind of, you just go watch her.
I don't know.
So she appears at press events. She stands alongside them. She frames the narrative or helps to frame the narrative. And the message is clear that this is the future. But the reality was actually the person that brought the Jackson 5 to Motown's attention was someone else entirely called Bobby Taylor. And now he is a performer in his own right, but just wasn't like top tier, but close enough to recognize something when he saw it. And he watched the Jackson 5 perform in Chicago. And that's when he arranged the audition. And that's set everything in motion.
But he must have enough credibility for people to take notice of what he was saying.
Yeah. He was still known. But it is true that Diana Ross had formed a close bond with the band. In 1969, Michael, now 11 years old, moved in with Diana Ross. Only for about a month while the rest of the family's living arrangements were being finalized in like a new area. And Michael lived inside, I guess, the orbit of this fully formed star.
I thought you were going to say he lived inside her hair.
There's enough to go around.
Yeah.
And Ross became something like a guide, a mentor, and a close friend. And she showed him what it meant to be a star.
11?
Yeah. And you can kind of see it, the way that she perhaps holds herself, like maybe Michael watched that and was inspired by her, this kind of persona and everything like that.
Yeah, because you mentioned this before, like he would watch different things on his black and white TV back then, and like he would absorb the way that the artists were moving and the way they were singing. And it seems like he's quite good at that.
So in 1969, 2 months after arriving in California, Motown releases I Want You Back. And what followed was pretty explosive. The song itself was almost perfect. But above all that was Michael at just 11 years old. And the way that he's singing, the way that he's doing this breath control, the way that he bends the notes and slips between different registers, it made it land. And yeah, he's singing about heartbreak as if he understands it himself, which at 11 years old probably wouldn't.
Yeah, but again, it's because he is probably picking up on the emotion and the way that people do things on television. He probably doesn't necessarily understand it, but sounds like he can emulate it very well.
Yeah, and I think that's what people go like, how is this kid doing this?
Yeah, which makes it impressive. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So the song I Want You Back goes to number 1. It turns out Michael becomes the youngest artist ever to top the Billboard Hot 100. And then what follows is 3 consecutive number 1 singles with ABC,
Yep.
The Love You Save, and I'll Be There.
Oh, yeah, great songs. So they all went to number 1
Yeah. And
consecutively.
yes. And ABC knocked the Beatles off the top of the charts at the time, which was huge. The press loved it because it wasn't just this success. It was like a succession to the Beatles almost.
Cute.
So within 9 months, the Jackson 5 had gone from unknown to the biggest act in popular music. And the world responded exactly how you'd expect, by amplifying everything. And by 1971, they had their own Saturday morning cartoon. There was merchandise, there was posters, magazine covers.
They had a cartoon.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Did you watch it?
No. I imagine it's just adventures they get up to.
Yeah, I imagine that. That sounds good.
So at 12 years old, Michael's just become the most famous child in America. But the thing is, Michael is still growing up in an environment where it's a pretty adult environment, right?
Yeah.
They're on tour. The brothers would share hotel rooms. There's no privacy, no boundaries. And his older brothers, teenagers at the time, were starting to bring girls back.
Oh, and they're sharing rooms.
Yeah, so they would be obviously getting up to stuff with these girls, whilst Michael and Marlon are in those rooms. And
Watching.
They're probably pretending to be asleep, but obviously they're
Watching.
not asleep. I mean, it's their first exposure to sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Michael Jackson at this point is like around about 12, right?
Yeah, and you probably don't really understand
Definitely
what's going on.
watching. Definitely.
I don't know if you'd be watching your brothers do that.
But yeah, he has been exposed to very adult things.
Yeah, because any other 12-year-old is at home playing with their toys, but he's out doing gigs. He's got this extreme pressure to perform. So it's quite complicated, but you can see how he isn't let to be a child.
No. And I guess the pressure is just even more now because they are these big stars.
Yeah, exactly. And even with all that success as a band, something else starts to change, I guess. Michael was being separated out gradually, though. In 1971, he records without his brothers for the first time. His debut solo single, Got to Be There, followed that in October. And it worked because his voice didn't need the group anymore. It could carry on its own.
Really? Wow. Because I always imagine the Jackson 5 with their very 70s like outfits and their big lapels, the Brady Bunch. That's how I imagine it. And then there's no transition. It's just Bad. In terms of the album Bad with Michael Jackson.
Oh, so you've missed out a whole decade.
Oh, really? A whole decade? Okay.
Again, there's more songs in between that.
Of course, but I just didn't know that there was a transitional period.
Yeah, I don't think he's left the band at this point, but he is starting to have the success by himself. He releases another song called Ben. It's a ballad and it went to number 1. Michael's 13, so he's now a solo chart topper. So yeah, he's making it by himself. And even then, it still wasn't enough, not for Joe, not for the system, and increasingly not for the group themselves, because Motown had controlled everything that they did, their songs, the production, the direction, and so they didn't really have a lot of say.
Sure.
So in 1975, they left Motown and they signed with another record label called Epic Records. And it was for better money because at the time, Motown was only paying them like 2.7% in royalties.
Wow.
So yeah, pretty bad exploitation at the time. But more importantly, it gave them more control and creative ownership. But leaving Motown came at a cost. Motown actually owned the name, the Jackson 5.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. So this is when they become the Jacksons. They just dropped the 5.
Fine. Smart. Yeah, you want to come after us? Fine. We'll just drop the 5. Michael's left anyway. Or you could just add another member.
Yeah, I guess so. They've got enough. Just swap one in. It's like a football team.
Bring someone in on a tambourine.
Next up was this film called The Wiz. Now, it was an all-black reimagining of The Wizard of Oz. Mm-hmm. Michael plays the Scarecrow and Diana Ross stars alongside him. And the film itself...
As the Scarecrow as well.
He borrows her hat. But the film itself doesn't really do that well. But something else happens because Michael meets a guy called Quincy Jones. Now, Quincy Jones is this record producer, and it's his partnership with Michael that elevates Michael even further. So Quincy and Michael would work on the next 3 albums of Michael's together. The first being an album called Off the Wall, which was released in August 1979. And it changes Michael from being this childhood star to this fully fledged superstar, incorporating sounds of disco, funk, pop, R&B, all fused into something seamless.
Ooh, so something new, like a fusion.
Yeah, now these are the songs that you'll start to recognize.
Go on then, let's see.
Don't Stop Till You Get Enough.
Yep.
Rock With You.
Yep.
They both reached number 1 and the album sells over 20 million copies worldwide.
Yeah, and I definitely get the disco coming through in those songs.
Yeah. It won a Grammy for Best R&B Vocal Performance, but it didn't win Album of the Year. And that really mattered to Michael more than people realize, because it wasn't just a missed award. It was a signal that even at that level that he was at, he still was being overlooked by someone else. And so for him, he was like, I'm going to be really determined. My next album is going to be my biggest yet. I will not be overlooked.
Wow.
And so he makes the album Thriller.
Ah, sorry. Yeah, I do now see the transition.
Yeah. Now, the budget for this album was $750,000.
Wow, that's a lot.
It was expensive for the time. And Michael writes 4 of the 9 tracks on the album himself. Wanna Be Starting Something, The Girl Is Mine, Beat It, and Billie Jean.
Great songs.
And that's released in 1982. And the album is a phenomenal success. 37 non-consecutive weeks at number 1. It's the biggest album of 1983 and 1984. Billie Jean holds number 1 for 7 weeks, and Beat It with the guitar solo from Eddie Van Halen holds it for 3. So it is massive. And that album actually goes on to sell 70 million copies worldwide.
That is nuts. But what about Thriller with the like really incredible dance sequence of him being a zombie?
Yeah, that was obviously a huge success. I was going to come on to it, but did you know like the music video was almost like it's a short film?
Yes, yeah.
13 minutes long, and it's a full narrative, but it's horror inspired and it's all cinematic, and it was huge. And it's said that this album helped to conquer racial divides, and it also has the highest royalty rate in the music industry at this point.
What does that even mean?
Well, for every $2 of every album sold, I think Michael gets a royalty from it.
Okay, so he was smart, right? He was, this is going to be my retirement.
Yeah. And it's huge. And at the time, MTV was still pretty new and its programming leaned almost entirely towards white rock artists. Because when Billie Jean was submitted, they initially refused to play the record.
Really?
Yeah. But then eventually they gave in. And when the video went into rotation, Michael is now in his iconic look with the pink shirt, the black jacket, the white socks moving across the pavement that lights up underneath his feet. It became the most requested video on the network. And in doing so, it basically helped elevate MTV into kind of this big cultural phenomenon.
Wow. Single-handedly made MTV.
Well, it didn't single-handedly.
No, come on, let's just say that.
But, you know, it was big. Then came Thriller, which was this kind of short film. It was 13 minutes long, and it was this full narrative, all horror inspired. But Michael himself had some concerns because as a practicing Jehovah's Witness, it doesn't really fit with that. Yeah.
So, how does he react to that?
Well, at one point, he even considered having the negatives destroyed after shooting it, but was persuaded not to. And I think he just adds a disclaimer.
Do you think he would have changed his tune today if he was still alive about that? Because did it sell really well, the song?
I think it did. I don't know if it went to number one, actually, but it did become the first music video ever inducted into the National Film Registry. It's made like history.
It sounds important.
It was important.
I don't know what it means, but
it's in the National Film Registry. I just said it, Kyle.
Because, I mean, that is one of the songs that it's a slow burner because every year it gets fished up, right? So it's seasonal, if you will. Comes out every year on Halloween.
Yeah.
There's always flash dances. Probably the biggest song that people do a flash dance for.
Yeah.
So, yeah, choreography on point.
And I remember I tried to recreate it as part of a GCSE project.
Did you?
I mean, I don't ever want to see that footage
successfully?
again. No. I don't even think we even had makeup. We were just dancing in a park. But yeah, it inspired me, Kyle.
To do what?
To make that video.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
And so the album is a huge success, as we said. And this time it does earn 8 Grammy Awards. So,
8?
Yeah, Michael gets his wish.
God, can you imagine going up stage 8 times? You would just imagine the Grammy acceptance speech just fading out after each time. By the end, it's like, thanks, just walk off stage.
Is there any more I should collect while I'm up here?
Yeah, because you have to gush over, right? Like, they love me. They really love me. This means so much to me. And then by the 8th one, you're like,
can I get a bag?
Yeah, I get it.
So then in 1983, NBC broadcasts Motown 25, Yesterday, Today, and Forever. So it's this celebration of 25 years of Motown. And so it brings a reunion of all these different artists that defined that era, including the Jacksons. 47 million people tune in to watch.
Wow.
So Michael does a performance with his brothers. It's great. But what he's remembered for is his solo performance of Billie Jean. And he'd been working on something special.
So this is the same night, right?
Yes,
so on the same night, Jackson 5s, they come along, they do their little group thing together. So it's a reunion! And then Michael goes off and does his solo thing.
Yeah.
Everyone remembers that. What a kick in the face for Jackson 5.
Yeah, but it was an iconic moment.
Go on, what does he do?
Because he's been practicing this particular move. So he'd learnt it from a dancer named Garen Casper. He's dancing, he's performing, he's doing his usual twirls and stuff like that. Then he steps back, then again, and he glides across the floor. And he's just done the moonwalk for the first time. And it's only for a few seconds, but in that moment, backstage, performers, people on TV are like, wow, what the hell was that?
What the hell just happened?
The next morning, Fred Astaire calls him personally because he's just seen something truly special.
Who's Fred Astaire?
He's like a dancer.
I thought you were going to say him like a magician, and he was like, how did you do it?
Yeah. But anyway, it's a huge thing that he does. And yes, you had Elvis. Yes, you had Frank Sinatra and all these classics. But now there's Michael Jackson. He's this modern day superstar.
Yeah. Crazy. This is my Michael Jackson era. Jackson 5, I could get on board with that.
80s Jackson, though.
Yeah, that's it. It's the hair. It's the look. He was sexy.
Yeah, he's an attractive young man.
Yeah, sexy.
Next up is his third album. Now, Michael writes the majority of the album, and it's big. It sells 2.25 million copies in its first week. It's not as big as his second album. That was huge, but it's still pretty impressive.
So, what's it called?
It's called Bad.
Okay.
Which has the song Bad on it.
Bad?
Yeah. So the title track video was directed by Martin Scorsese, an 18-minute video.
Shut up! Martin Scorsese!
Yeah.
And it's 18 minutes as well.
Well, he doesn't do anything short, does he?
No, he doesn't. He's renowned for his long productions.
So then there's the Bad World Tour, which was 123 shows across 15 countries. One of the shows was in July 1988 at Wembley Stadium, and there was a famous person in that crowd, which we've covered.
Diana Ross.
No, Princess Diana.
Oh, sorry.
We covered it in one of your episodes. And what did we talk about in that episode?
Before the show, Princess Diana and Prince Charles were there, and Michael Jackson was getting a chance to meet them, and he was going through. He shook Diana's hand, and she was like, "Are you going to be playing Dirty Diana?" And he was like, we were told it wouldn't be appropriate. And she was like, "No, it's my favorite song." And so he cut in Dirty Diana into the concert. Yeah.
He put it back in, and and they only met once at that time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I just assumed that they had a friendship.
No, there was news reported, like everyone else, like he was really upset when Diana died. And I think he postponed one of his gigs when he was on tour. So I think he had a lot of affection for Princess Diana.
I mean, who wouldn't? It is Princess Diana, right?
Mm. And then in 1989, his good friend Elizabeth Taylor, she gives him the title that never leaves him, the King of Pop.
That just spur of the moment. She was like, "He is the King of Pop."
Mm.
And then so the media rolled with it.
Yeah.
And to think that he was friends with Elizabeth Taylor.
He's friends with a lot of really cool people.
True. He is one of the most famous men in the world. But wow, King of Pop. And so that stuck.
And so, we know enough about Michael Jackson to know this incredible elevation to superstardom had its problems, and we know how it ends. And it's around this time, well, a few years, I think, earlier than his third album, that certain events happened that would set Michael on this path to a premature death. After that performance of Billie Jean and the Moonwalk on TV, in 1984 in Los Angeles, Michael Jackson is filming a Pepsi commercial, and on the sixth take, the pyrotechnics fire too early and too close, and his hair catches fire.
This is a monumental moment, isn't it? It is credited with causing a lot of things. It's like a cascading event that's all like pinpointed to this particular moment. What happens?
Obviously, as hair catches alight, the crew rush in, they extinguish it, and he's taken to hospital with second-degree burns to his skull.
Wow.
And whilst he's treated, and it is an accident, there is a settlement of $1.5 million with Pepsi. Michael even donates that money to a hospital's burn center, which is later renamed in his honor. But the thing that's important at this point is, whilst he has surgery to heal some of those scars, he starts to wear wigs, of course, after this, because his hair doesn't grow back like it was.
And I guess that affects him quite psychologically, right? Because his image is a big thing. But yet he manages to sustain second-degree burns on his scalp.
Yeah. So there's, of course, the appearance that he has to now live with that. But there's also pain, and a way that he manages that pain at the time. He's prescribed medication, and it's pretty strong. And people close to him would later point out that it's this moment that he starts this dependency of painkillers.
Really?
Which was, I guess, maybe nothing at first, but would be a constant in his life and play a part in his death.
Yeah, that's crazy. And because he's such a big superstar, right? Like, of course, when it comes to like heavy pain medication, like doctors don't just willy-nilly hand them out. They will say no. But when you are the biggest star in the world and you have access to your own private physicians where they are on your payroll, you don't say no to that.
Yeah, and equally if they do, then you just sack them and get someone else that will.
Exactly. And so I can see very clearly how he could easily get dependent on pain medication.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Deadlines move, plans change, and sometimes opportunities pop up out of nowhere. When you need branded gear fast, 4imprint is ready to deliver. 4imprint offers hundreds of promotional products in their 24-hour category. Everything from custom apparel, bags, and drinkware to writing tools, trade show staples, and high-tech gear. At 4imprint, it's not just about speed. It's about doing it right. Your logo is printed with precision. Your order is packed with care, and it all ships out fast. And with their 360-degree guarantee, you can be confident it'll show up right on time, just the way you planned it. That's the certainty of 4imprint. So if you're prepping for a last-minute event or jumping on a big opportunity, you don't have to settle or scramble. With 4imprint, you get fast, reliable service and peace of mind built right in. Check out their full 24-hour selection at 4imprint.com.
4imprint for certain.
Yeah, we'll also learn later that he develops this insomnia. And so some of the pain medication that he would get would just make him drowsy and help him sleep.
Oh, so he just needs to shut off.
Yeah.
Sad. And yeah, this is the biggest moment, right? That kind of is accredited with the slow brewing decline.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other thing around this time that would plague Michael Jackson himself, at least, was the thought that somebody was out to kill him.
Oh, God.
And one of those reasons started in 1985 between his album Thriller and Bad. And during collaborations with Paul McCartney, Michael learned something that the real money in music isn't about performance, it's ownership and publishing rights.
Sure. Which he's had a taste of because he managed to secure that 2% of all the money from Thriller.
But I guess it's not just about his catalogue, it's about other people's music catalogue.
Oh!
So when the ATV music catalogue comes up for sale, and it's around 4,000 songs in this, okay, including the works of John Lennon, Paul McCartney himself, songs from Elvis, Little Richard, Cher, Rolling Stones, Bruce Springsteen, the Pointer Sisters. So some really big names, big songs like Hey Jude, Let It Be.
Yeah, huge
Yeah.
artist. Don't tell me he buys all of their stuff.
Yep, he buys the rights to all 4,000 songs for $47.5 million.
And how does that pay off for him?
Well, McCartney, who makes him aware of all this, he wanted the catalogue himself. He is furious.
Yeah.
And their relationship never recovers after that.
Well, it's business, babe.
But financially, owning this catalogue, it's transformative because by 1995, Michael merges the catalogue with Sony to create Sony ATV. It's a joint venture and he retains 50% of the rights. And by the time of his death, that catalogue is valued at around $1 billion.
Wow, what an investment. So he bought it for 48 mil and now it's worth $1 billion. Yeah, Paul McCartney, he is completely justified to be really pissed off.
Yeah, he's definitely missed the boat on that.
But it was also, a lot of it's his work as well.
Yeah,
that
which
he's
is,
brought up.
that's the thing. Probably Paul McCartney wanted it because it was his work.
Yeah.
But the thing is, by 2016, so this is, was it 8 years after his death? Something like that. Sony acquires his estate's share of the catalogue, and it's estimated that it's around $4 billion at this point.
It's swelled.
Yeah, and just think, it's probably still growing even now.
So what you were saying, correct if I'm wrong, is the vast majority of his wealth and his status and his estate comes from those 4,000 songs?
Well, a good chunk. Obviously, he's wealthy in other areas.
Sure.
But this was, yeah.
Yeah, well, you said that this is where he realizes that the money is in ownership rights.
yeah.
Wow.
And so having this extraordinary wealth and this catalogue, he thinks it makes him a target. And in the final years of his life, he tells people that someone is going to kill him for it.
I don't know if that's a bit of paranoia or whether or not there's a genuine cause for concern there, because at the end of the day, these are very powerful people, very litigious. Yeah, you can go and kill Michael Jackson, but his estate then moves on according to his will and contracts and things like that to someone else. It doesn't mean that you automatically get it.
Yeah. I think it is paranoia, if I'm honest, but no doubt there were probably threats to his life at various moments.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was over this, I'm not sure, but this is what Michael believed.
Yeah. Wow.
Then in 1993, in Pasadena, the Super Bowl halftime show is happening. And for the first time, a global music superstar takes that stage, and it's iconic, not because of the movement, but because of
what he doesn't do.
Well, yeah, that's right. There's this stillness, right?
Yeah.
He walks out on that stage and he does
No,
nothing.
he doesn't. He doesn't walk out.
Oh, does he not?
He gets catapulted up from the ground.
Oh, yes, that's right.
And then he does this kind of weird jump, and then his legs come up really high, and then he just, boom, on the ground, and he just stands there with that iconic kind of pose with his aviator glasses, his curly hair, and he's just looking in the distance for what seems like, and I don't know if you've got the number there, but for ages, and it's just, the crowd around him is just going nuts, but he's dead still.
Yeah.
For so long. The Super Bowl halftime show is only 15 minutes, and he stood there for what felt like
90 seconds.
Oh, okay. Well, it felt like 14 minutes.
Yeah. But you're right. There was a long period of time of that halftime show where he does nothing and the crowd are like, oh my God, give me more.
Yeah. Someone poke him. Wow, yeah. Very iconic moment. And he looked amazing.
Yeah, and so the excitement just builds, and then when he does move, like the stadium erupts and he performs a medley of Jam, Billie Jean, Heal the World. And for the first time in Super Bowl history, viewership increases during halftime. And that had never happened before because up until that point, it was kind of like this background sort of break and, people would go away and pee during that point.
Sure, yeah.
After that moment, Michael Jackson had just created the revolutionized Super Bowl halftime show. Everything that comes after, like Prince, Beyonce, Shakira, Janet Jackson's nipple.
Mm-hmm.
Did you remember the incident with Janet Jackson's nipple?
Yes. And you could probably do an entire episode on that because it's such great commentary on the gender dynamics between how men and women are treated. Not just in kind of pop culture world, but in society. It's outrageous. And I saw that nip and I'm like, babe, that is some hardcore jewelry that you've jazzed that nipple up with. Good on you. I don't know why she got so much backlash.
They said it was an accident that Justin Timberlake was supposed to rip it and there's supposed to be like a red lacy bra there that would cover it up. So I think you're still supposed to see this nipple shield is what they call it.
But that's the thing though. I think that's what they were saying.
Yes.
Damage control. But the fact that she had a nipple shield on, why would you have that under your bra? What's the practical purpose of that? It's like you walking around with, I don't know, I guess people walk around with Prince Albert's on and nobody gets to see it. It's not like you're going to be showing it off.
I hope not.
I don't know, maybe each their own. I don't know. I don't have breasts. I can't comment.
You can have nipple shields, Kyle.
I could do if it's an option, but really, I'm a bit of an attention whore. So if I'm wearing a nipple shield, people are seeing that nipple shield. Do you know what I mean? I'm like at your house on Sunday night having like tea with your mum, and I'm like, hey Sandra, check this out.
And lob out a nipple.
Lob out a nipple with a massive sun on it. And I know your mum would be like, oh, that's nice.
Look at mine. That was a nice day for you.
Yeah, that's it. It's a mother and son-in-law bonding.
So anyway, halftime show, it's huge because of Michael Jackson. Plus all the big movie trailers that get released at that time. All of that is basically sits inside the blueprint that he created that day.
Wow.
So Michael Jackson at this point has sold more records than any solo artist in history. He's redefined the music video. He's reshaped MTV. He's transformed the Super Bowl. He now owns the most valuable music catalog on earth. And by almost any measurable standard, he is the most famous human being alive. But by the point in 1995, Michael Jackson's appearance had significantly changed. Now, for starters, he had much lighter skin, white, in fact. And it wasn't until 1993, in a live interview with Oprah Winfrey, watched by 90 million people, he explains that back in 1983, he's diagnosed with discoid lupus, an autoimmune condition affecting the skin. And then a few years later, he's diagnosed with vitiligo, a condition where the body attacks its own pigment.
Sure.
Now, for anyone, that's pretty difficult to understand. And I don't think people back then really understood what this condition was about.
Yeah, they thought he was clearly trying to come up with an excuse for why his skin was getting lighter. But of course, as we know, it's very much publicized. There's so many people that live with these conditions, especially with the vitiligo.
Yeah, like Winnie Harlow. She's now one of the most famous models with vitiligo, and it's
Yeah.
sort of celebrated for that. But of course, she struggled growing up with that condition. And I think it's, we can understand that Michael Jackson would have had that same challenge as well.
Yes.
His whole appearance is changing, but for the public, they don't see that diagnosis. And not that we're entitled to understand what's going on, but I think there's this speculation or this narrative that is created that he's just bleaching his skin because he wants to change his skin color. He's ashamed of being black and he just wants to look more white, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I get where that would be coming from, especially from the black community, because the thing is, though, he's one of the biggest stars on the planet. And like America is still reeling from everything that's happened during the civil rights movement. And to have one of the biggest stars on the planet, and he is black, is a big win for that. And then to have all the speculation that he is trying to erase his blackness I could understand how that might be seen as a betrayal when you do not necessarily understand or appreciate the actual condition underneath it.
Absolutely.
And I think that sentiment's changed now because I think people, it's fact now, right? We know that he was actually suffering from it. But I understand where that might come from.
Yeah, because initially he was trying to just cover those white patches up with makeup. But then if you're under these bright lights and you're performing, you're getting sweaty, I imagine that's quite hard to maintain that even complexion on your face or where else on your body.
Sure, makeup's all slipping off.
Yeah, so I guess he took to this kind of skin bleaching or whatever to even out his complexion. So I can understand it, yeah. Then there's this speculation over facial surgery, which Michael does admit to having a couple of procedures on his nose.
But just on my earlobes. Like, really, Michael?
Well, apparently one time he did break his nose during rehearsals, and so he did have rhinoplasty to correct that. But then there were complications with breathing or structural problems, so he had further procedures. But I think given maybe his condition with lupus and the fact some of his skin tissue wasn't healing, some of the later surgeries weren't purely cosmetic. They were reconstructing damage that had occurred. But I think, well, there's speculation that he got addicted to some of these surgeries. And so, you know, a little nip tuck here, there, and everywhere.
Sure. And you can totally understand how he could get into the situation, especially when you think about his childhood. His father was brutal about him, especially about his nose.
Exactly.
And
that's one of the biggest things that changes about his face, isn't it?
yeah. Like, his father taunted him majorly about the size of his nose. And so I guess that it might be something that you might want to change if it has internalized within you.
Yeah, if you're on stage, you're worried about your appearance and you've still got your father's voice in your head.
Yeah, and do you know, I think the biggest mistake out of all of this is that he tried to deny it rather than just being really open about it. And we've seen this time and time again where people, like, they have these big old PR moves where they try to distance themselves from kind of scandal and speculation. But the reality is, on some occasions where people just come out and they're really candid about it and they're really open about it, people actually sympathize and actually works in their favor. I think this would have been one of those times where, had he just been candid about it, listen, my dad said I had a big nose and I internalized it and I wanted to feel good about myself, people would have accepted it.
Yeah, they could have related, I think.
And they could have potentially stopped him from going really far and gone, Michael, your new nose job looks great. It's perfect now.
Yeah.
No more.
No more. So yeah, but I think he put it down to obviously this injury he had, and that's why he had a couple of procedures. But then he also had like a butt chin implant, didn't he? Which was like
I
really...
liked it. I liked his butt chin implant.
Well, the thing is, that was pretty popular in the 90s. So I think we can safely say that, yeah, there was some cosmetic surgery.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You can't just hide behind it was structural.
I'll get my nose fixed, but also throw in that butt chin.
Yeah. Then in 1986, there's reports that emerged that he's sleeping in a hyperbaric oxygen chamber, a glass box supposedly to slow his aging.
Yeah.
But he denies it.
Of course he does deny it because he's embarrassed by it. But these are all things that are related to his image and getting older and changing and things like that. I get it.
But then there's an image that surfaces online of him lying inside one.
Oh, God.
But it's explained as a promotional photo. But I also read that sometimes he would do stuff with the media just to get headlines. Like, I think there was this one time he wheeled himself in a wheelchair to a car or something like that, and then just got up and then just carried on walking or something. And so it's said that sometimes he did manipulate the media just for
why
attention.
Not? Everyone does it.
Yeah. And then rumors escalate that he's having hormone treatments to preserve his voice. So they aren't proven, but they are rumors that just circulate. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them that circulate him.
Yeah.
So Kyle, next thing we're going to talk about is a famous house or ranch that he would go on to buy. Neverland.
Wow, this is a big one, right? This is the next big phase of his life. Never Ranch was the thing that you associate with Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And then also, I'm assuming, all the sexual abuse stuff.
Yeah, it's where it all happened, or a lot of it happened, allegedly, of course. So this ranch, it's spread over 2,700 acres.
Wow.
There's a house which is like 12,600 square feet. He purchased it for around about 17 to 20 million, this ranch. So there's a Ferris wheel, there's a carousel, there's a miniature railroad, there's a zoo with giraffes, there's elephants, there's chimpanzees.
It's all the things Beano's won in their bloody in their ranch.
A private cinema, gardens, arcades. So yeah, everything you'd want as a child and everything you didn't have as a child, probably.
All right, squash what I just said. Make it sound like lovely and make me feel sorry for him. Yes, so there's notion that he's obviously missed out on his childhood. This is him trying to recreate a world where he can be a child again.
Yeah, and that's why he calls it Neverland,
Sure.
after Peter Pan, place where children don't grow up. Michael often admitted that childhood should be seen as something sacred, something pure, and something that he had taken from him. So it was a kind of a creative space and a world that he could just go and hide in. That's his retreat.
Oh, Adam, I don't know. I'm so conflicted with what you've just said there because that sounds so sad. And so I'm really eager for us to talk about the controversy around him because depending on what you believe, you can either see this move as actually something really quite sad and wholesome
Yeah.
and tragic. But then at the same time, if you believe some of the allegations that have happened at this ranch, it then becomes something very, very sinister. So it's
Yeah.
that weird juxtaposition between those two visions of it. And you just went and fucked me over by saying he wanted to reclaim his childhood.
Yeah, and I think another reason that he designed this place was he wanted other children to visit. And the innocent side, let's just focus on that for the
Yeah.
time being. Thousands of kids would come to visit through organizations like Make-A-Wish Foundation. And Jackson himself actually founded the Heal the World Foundation in the early 90s. And that was to bring underprivileged children to Jackson's ranch to use the theme park rides, cheer them up, especially if they're got a terminal illness or something.
Yeah, do you know what? I think for a lot of listeners just listen to you say that, it would have been still difficult to erase that notion of what he supposedly did from the back of the minds while you were saying that. You just fed into it. Like disadvantaged children, vulnerable children, isolated, ranch, Make-A-Wish Foundation, all those things.
Well, Michael Jackson is regarded as one of the most charitable people in history within the Guinness World Records.
Oh, really?
And they give him that title in 2000 because it's estimated he donated $500 million to charity over the course of his lifetime.
That's a serious amount of money.
Yeah, so extensive that his humanitarian work.
You humanitarian.
I don't know why.
What's
I
the
said
accent?
that. I don't know.
What's the accent for?
I don't know. Was that Scottish?
I don't know what that was.
Yeah, he received 2 Nobel Peace Prize nominations for that.
Didn't win though, did he? Yeah, that is crazy that he has donated that much, but also $500 million, especially having the Guinness Book of Records. I thought that there would have been someone who would have beaten that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, this is in 2000, so someone may have done by that point, but he's still one of the most charitable people. But yeah, I think there is this perception that Neverland was a way or a disguise to trick and lure innocent kids that were perhaps vulnerable to his house. And we know that other charitable people, just take Jimmy Savile from the UK, he apparently raised 40 million for charity, but was obviously a notorious paedophile, abusing young children and even elderly adults.
And I mean, twisted sense of logic here. But could he have gone, that $500 million? That's the fee I pay for having access to these kids. It's dark.
It's dark, yeah.
But for someone who knows that they're doing something potentially wrong, is that how you justify it in your brain? Again, we don't know. I haven't got my mind made up about what he's done.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we're going to focus on it.
We will, yeah. Because I think the thing is, it's not out of the realms of possibility given other people.
Yeah.
So as I was saying, these kids he would make friends with, they would visit, some would stay because Michael would regularly invite these boys and their families to stay overnight. And some boys could stay in his bedroom. Now, technically, this wasn't a normal bedroom. It was enormous, like 2 levels, multiple beds, 3 bathrooms. It was closer to a small house than a room.
Wow.
But you often hear people say, oh yeah, they stayed in my bedroom. Actually, if that's the size of a house, that's not like in close proximity of like someone's regular sized bedroom.
Yeah, but where are they sleeping? Are they sleeping in his bed?
Yeah, that bit is weird.
Okay. So
Yeah.
he is sleeping, because you said there was multiple beds.
Yeah, in his bedroom, yeah.
Yeah, that's the clincher there, right? As soon as you cut through that fat and you go, yeah, his bedroom was the size of a house, but he was sleeping in your bed. That's problematic.
And that's what's weird. Sometimes he would go sleep in a separate bed if they were in his bed, but other times he would share the bed with the boys as if they were kids at a sleepover.
Yeah, Adam, we can try and rationalize it all you want, but the fact that you have someone who's not your parent sleeping in your bed,
An adult man.
an adult man
Yeah.
who has the sense of belief that he can have anything and do anything that he wants, that's not normal.
It's not. Absolutely, it's not normal. And we'll definitely get into that in the next episode. But people like Macaulay Culkin would later say that they slept in his bed and nothing inappropriate ever happened. But even so, the behavior itself raises questions, and it doesn't stop there, because inside the bedroom, there's also an alarm system, something that would trigger if someone approached. So it seemed like really suspicious, a warning system should someone disturb something or whatever. But then it's a big house, and no doubt people try to break in, and of course he's going to have really tight security. There's even rumors that he's got this hidden room, like this panic room where he would do horrible things. But again, this is a mansion, and they probably would have had a panic room.
No, I see what you're saying, and I see what you're trying to do here. You're trying to be diplomatic. But then I think we've also seen some first-hand accounts of people who say, like, he would deliberately take me to a portion of the house whereby to get there, you had to go through one door after the next door. And so it gives a buffer zone. So if anyone is coming along, then you can hear the doors opening, you can hear the door shutting, you can hear the footsteps. So he's very strategic in that sense. Whether or not that's true or not, I guess we don't know.
We don't know, yeah. Either way, his conduct comes under severe scrutiny very quickly, because by the early 90s, it all starts with a chance encounter. Michael's Jeep breaks down, and so he tried calling 911, but they wouldn't send for help in a non-emergency event. So he's later towed to a garage owned by Dave Schwartz. Now, surprised to see the real MJ at his garage, he calls his partner, June Chandler, and tells her to bring Jordan Chandler, her son, down. Now, Jackson was apparently shy around the adults, but agreed to sign autographs. But he warmed to Jordan, who was around 12 or 13 at the time, pretty quickly.
Oh.
And so they connect naturally, and they exchange numbers. Now, if you're a kid in that position, a global superstar has just offered his number to you, and you've got no inkling that he's dodgy or anything like that, you probably would do that, right? No one suspects him of any wrongdoing really around this time.
No, he's the biggest star in the world, right?
And the family's thinking, oh, great, we can be friends with Michael Jackson. This sounds great. And also, it's probably the house number. It's not like it makes people sound like Jordan handed over his telephone number. It's not like he had a mobile phone at that point in time. It was the early 90s. Again, to me, that doesn't sound dodgy.
No, it doesn't. It does not sound dodgy.
So over time, Michael and Jordan would chat. There'd be phone calls multiple times a week, trips, visits, introductions to other children in Michael's circle, which is odd. And so actually the Chandlers, they become this adoptive family.
Yeah, and I can see how it could also be seductive for the families as well, and how they'll be like, well, he's one of the biggest superstars in the world. We're getting this attention. He's paying for all these different things.
Private jets.
Exactly. It's seductive for them as well. So I would understand why you would thrust your child into that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So they'd visit Neverland, and Jordan would stay in Michael's bed. But Jordan's biological father and June's ex-husband, Evan Chandler, he's not happy about this arrangement. He expects something much more inappropriate was happening. So he confronts his ex-wife about it, but she didn't share the same feeling or was naive to think that something bad was happening to her son. But then out of nowhere, Jordan Chandler makes a confession. He admits one day that Michael Jackson had molested him out of seemingly nowhere. And so his dad, was he right all along? Was the Neverland Ranch a way to trick kids into visiting, so Michael Jackson was taking advantage of that situation? It's reported to the police, and it doesn't take long for these headlines to make global news, and Michael Jackson's reputation changes overnight. And that's where we're going to leave it for now, because in part 2, the fame doesn't slow down, it distorts. The world doesn't just watch Michael Jackson anymore, it turns on him because there's allegations, there's courtrooms, a man forced to defend himself on the biggest stage possible. And while that's happening, behind the scenes, something else is unfolding. Pain, insomnia, a dependency on medication that starts as treatment and becomes something far more dangerous. Doctors who should have said no, but didn't. Debt, hundreds of millions of dollars. And whilst he owned a music catalogue that was worth at least $1 billion, his cash was running out. So a deal is struck, one that he couldn't walk away from. A new tour, which would be 50 shows in London.
Yeah.
And it would be staged as this big comeback that the world was desperate to see. But behind rehearsals, behind all that music, there's a body that's breaking down, a man who isn't sleeping, he isn't eating, and one that probably shouldn't have been on stage at all. And that's the story of Michael Jackson, the making of the King of Pop.
Wow. Incredible. Great ending, by the way. Really geared me up for the next episode.
Good.
But yeah, I'm excited to find out a bit more about the allegations that come after that. And I am surprised. Like, I cannot take a diplomatic approach to this because, of course, the abuse of Michael Jackson, for me, is something that is actually very close to home. I have a friend of mine who won a competition to interview Michael Jackson. And this was before Chandler, right?
Really?
And you guys can look this up, but I believe what Terry was telling me. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Do you want to say his name?
Well, Terry George, he's very famous and you can look him up.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, and he's very vocal about what had happened. And that's the thing when it comes to Terry, is that every single time there was an allegation that was made about Michael Jackson that kind of burst into the press would always go to him for comments. I think we've mentioned a couple of times on the podcast as well. But yeah, so I believe it 100% that Michael Jackson was molesting these kids based on what Terry George said.
Yeah, I'm not here to say yes or no. I think what's interesting is just some of the media circus that we'll get into and how much there was sort of false information. But ultimately, he's one of the biggest brands in music history. People are going to protect that.
100%, because he's still worth so much money now, right? And it is very interesting, this idea of separating the artist from the crime, if you will.
Who came up with that?
What are you going to tell us?
No, but I'm thinking it's probably the businessman with all the money.
And why it is that we are, in a way, ready to accept that for Michael Jackson, but not ready to accept that for, I don't know, some other shitbag that's done horrible things.
I think the thing is because he's part of so many people's childhoods or growing up or coming of age.
But also the cultural thing as well, right?
You can't remove him very easily
No.
from history.
It's so complicated.
I don't know. And that's a good point because how are we almost brainwashed to go, okay, it was bad, but let's just appreciate his music because we like to have a good time and earn these people money.
Yeah, it's so tricky. But I do agree with the sentiment of separating the artists from their crimes. With exception, I can't think of any off the top of my head. But yeah, Michael Jackson is one of them. And I am ready to go, yeah, I love the song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I am shocked, though, that you never talked about Annie and the lyrics for Annie.
And that is she okay?
Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Yeah, that's from where they do the CPR. And they're like trying to resuscitate you.
Kyle, I said I wouldn't be able to cover every single thing.
I think that's such a brilliant fact. Just so our listeners know, like when you're doing CPR, one of those classes, the doll's name that you're doing CPR on is Annie. And what you're supposed to say, you're supposed to keep talking to the doll and you're supposed to keep going, Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie?
He's singing about a doll.
Yeah. I might have made all of that up. But what a story to tell at a dinner party.
Fake news, everyone.
Anyway, fancy doing some shout outs?
Let's do some shout outs. So this is the part of the show where we remind you that the Compendium is not just a podcast, it is also, for reasons that remain legally and spiritually unclear, we're a literal functioning circus who is hiring.
Yes, exactly. So make sure you head over to thecompendiumpodcast.com, click the job tabs in the footer where you can browse through all of our growing collection of bizarre, suspiciously specific, deeply bureaucratic circus roles. You can pick from your favorite role, apply for it, and then tell us exactly what you do in your position day to day.
And don't you dare do it in a vague middle management sort of way. We want proper details. We want the nitty gritty of your duties. What incidents have you had to deal with? Who's underperforming? What your KPIs are looking like? Is morale low? Has someone been bitten by Sue again?
Need tetanus shot. And of course, every week we'll pick our favorite submission and read it out on the show, which means it is now time for this week's glorious employee spotlight, which lands on, believe it or not, Adam, Kate Brown, who is our Lion Boundary Negotiation Liaison.
And what does that mean?
So Kate's role is to maintain diplomatic relations with lions and enforce broader agreements between lion space and people who would quite like to keep their arms. Her responsibilities include drafting territorial accords, negotiating lion nap rights, and discouraging staff from making eye contact, even if it's just for a laugh. just don't do it. She also files incident notes whenever a lion chooses to provide feedback using teeth or silent judgment.
Does that include biting?
Yes.
Okay.
Almost exclusively. The role pays $60,000 plus one emergency kazoo.
But do I get the kazoo?
Kate reports directly to the audience engagement manager. And in her application, we asked Kate, how would you describe your general approach to responsibility? To which she said, with confidence and absolutely no evidence. We asked, in a crisis, you are most likely to, and Kate said, make it worse, but with confidence. So Adam, you did Kate's performance review. What does she say about her day-to-day roles?
She said that she's raising 3 human children. Lions will be a cakewalk in comparison. That after birthing said children, she proclaimed that they were not hers and demanded a paternity test. The test revealed that she is, in fact, their mother.
Sorry, babe. Sorry. You're actually going to have to raise them.
There's been some kind of mix-up.
What?
Her KPI self-assessment, she says her astrological sign is Leo, so I feel this is the universe's way of telling me that I'm destined to work with lions. Ah, very good. Final comment, she's in it for the kazoo.
Yeah, take it. We need that back. We can claw that back. So guys, if you want to be featured on a future episode, then just make sure you head over to the Compendium podcast and click jobs in the footer and send us your application. We'll read the best ones on a future episode.
Provided HR allows it.
Yes, of course. Which they won't, but we'll do it anyway. So Adam, should we run the outro for this week's episode?
Yes, because that brings us to the end of another fascinating foray into the Compendium, an assembly of fascinating things.
If today's episode sparked your curiosity, then please do us a favor and please follow us on your favorite podcasting app. Like, I cannot stress how much of a difference that makes. If you guys follow us, please.
We'll always end up in your feed.
Yes, and it helps other people discover the show.
And for our dedicated freaks out there, don't forget next week's episode is already waiting for you on our Patreon and it's completely free to access.
Completely free?
Completely free.
Completely free to access. And if you want even more, then join our certified freaks to unlock our entire archive and delve into some exclusive content. And of course, get a sneak peek to what's coming next because we would love you to be part of our growing community.
We drop new episodes every Tuesday. So until then, remember, if you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change.
Amazing. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
In a world of oversharing, dating remains sacred. Meet the new Ashley Madison. Discreet dating, no public posts, no feed. Adults connecting in private. Ashley Madison, blessed are the discreet. Download the app or visit ashleymadison.com/iHeartMedia.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.